Hi everyone. I thought I would what happened is I had a whim to do an audio blog today. Slash vlog. Whatever. An audio-based vlog today. First I thought, I should probably do something on YouTube, and I thought about doing a video, and then I was like, oh hell, I'll just do it on the audio. So, I don't even know that this is going to turn out to be a vlog. Whatever. I'll start it as a audio vlog, and then if anything happens with it, something happens with it. So, it is the final day of a week off that I had taken. And what do I have to show for the week off? It was supposed to be a week of, rest and doing my own thing and being productive and... there was plenty of rest. I'm hoping it'll result in me being, ready for work tomorrow. Such as I'm ever ready for work. It's a great job. I want to be able to do it from home. I will never be able to do it from home because of pharmacy laws. But I also cannot do it from home even if they would allow me to, because I don't have the room in this place. I don't have the room for a lot in this place. That's why I want to move. And the fact that there's construction being forced upon me to live within the next year just lights a fire under me to say, well, let's figure out where I'm going to move to then. Meanwhile, I have, as expected, relatives saying, well, let's back up and talk to the apartment manager and find out what's going on and figure out, how we can make this work. Okay, first of all, there's a kind of icky conversation happening where I lay out, well, it's not happening right now, but it's going to happen before this is over, probably sooner than later, where I sit down and just say to them, I've kind of word vomited in this big old file that I will potentially email to them, and then we can sit down and talk about it maybe, where I just say, look, you think this is the perfect place for me. I don't feel that way anymore. And here's all the reasons why I want to move. And I know you got plenty of reasons for why. Actually, maybe that's not the kind of relationship we would have if I would let us be our authentic selves. I think at the heart of it is for a lot of my life, I have not felt like I was allowed to be my authentic self, or my authentic self was not okay. And so, let's bottom line this. That started at adolescence. And I've carried that belief, that condition, with me through the rest of my life, and now I've projected it onto them. And there may be truth to it, or it may just be me expecting them to not be on my side. I don't even know if I'm going to put all this in the video. But the point is, that's where I am as far as wanting to move. And about that, the good news is I have talked to my vocational rehabilitation counselor, who basically is a state caseworker that helps blind people get and stay employed. And, they're also kind of a representative for the government, I guess. And so I said, so what can the government offer me in terms of okay, let's just go here. I wish I didn't have to count on the government, but being disabled and on a limited amount of income, I kind of do. So I said to my state caseworker, what can you do to help me either live around this bullcrap that I really don't want to live around, or what I'd like to do, find a new place to live? And she said, well, my department really can't do very much for you. I want to refer you to this other entity that is not necessarily statewide, but it's a local place. I want to take a second and say, do you hear my voice? If my voice was an indication of how big this place really is, I wouldn't want to leave. But the truth is, it's just a high ceiling, I think. It's not a big place. I've noticed that in different places in this apartment. As you're listening to my voice on audio, it sounds like I'm in a big place. It's not a big place. I don't know how many square feet it is, but it's a one-bedroom place that I feel like I'm growing out of. It was perfect when I'd been living here for a year and a half, and I wanted to move out of that studio, and I wanted a place where I could just kind of do what I wanted in terms of not have someone constantly watching over me, but still have, I don't know how to describe all that. The point is, it was perfect for me for a time. But this happens to everything at some point, doesn't it? People evolve, things change, and people get to the point where they're like, I don't know that this is really working for me anymore. I want to change. And that's where I am. Anyway, where was I? The state person said, if you need housing help, we really can't give it to you, but here's a place that can. So I tried calling this place for about a day and a half. I can't get anything but freaking voicemail. I finally get on their website, and there's an email address to click on, and the email program on your computer will open, and you can write an email. So I wrote them an email and said, here's my situation. I actually know who you guys are. I worked with you guys a long time ago when I was trying to find my last place, or trying to get settled into the city where I live in. That was forever ago. I don't even think I have a case open with you guys anymore. Now I find myself needing to either move or adjust to a bunch of bull that I don't want to live around. I need you guys' help again. So fortunately, I got an email very shortly thereafter saying, I'll forward this to our staff and somebody will get back to you. And then the next morning, I did get a phone call from a representative of that place, and I will be calling her tomorrow to kind of touch base with her. Well, the plan was that I would touch base with her after meeting with the apartment manager, because everyone's telling me, well, hold on, just calm down. Maybe you can make this work. Let's meet with the apartment manager, or we recommend that you meet with the apartment manager. And one of my relatives that I live in the same city with said, I'm willing to meet with you and the apartment manager. In fact, I'd kind of like to. At first she said, you could probably handle this. And then she said, well, I'm willing to go. And then she said, actually, I actually kind of would like to be there. I think the more she thought about it, the more she was like, I'd like the opportunity to look at this apartment manager and say to her face, I'd like you to answer my questions. Well, we'd both like that. So I call this meeting. I have an email conversation with my apartment manager saying, this person and I would like to meet with you. Is there a time that works for you? She's like, yeah, especially if she's going to help you with this. I think that would be a good idea. I'm happy to meet with you guys. So even she acknowledges that this is going to be all kinds of crazy crap for anyone to live around. But she and her bosses are doing it anyway, which they own the building. They can do whatever the hell they want. Anyway, so we set this up, and my aunt shows up. I show up. We're both there. The apartment manager's a no-show. My aunt showed up a little early, but we waited for half an hour. She showed up at 2:45 and the meeting was at 3. Okay, but at 3:15 there was still no sign of the apartment manager. I called, immediately got voicemail. I leave a message, I'm nice enough about it. I'm like, gee, we're here. I thought we were supposed to have a meeting today. The fact that you're not here, we're taking to mean we're not having a meeting. Can you please call me back and let's reschedule? This was Thursday. Friday came and went. We'll see what happens next week. On the one hand, I'm really frustrated with the apartment manager because, as my other aunt points out, we don't know what was going on her end. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but I hope she woke up first thing that morning feeling miserable and called in sick, or, something happened at the last possible minute. Because if something was going on that was something that she knew about, she shouldn't have said, yes, the 18th at 3 o'clock works. She should have said, no, I'm already committed at that time. Can you do it on this day, or what other days work for you? She just said, yeah, that works, and then doesn't even show up. I hope she's got a good explanation for why she was suddenly a no-show. And I hope if we reschedule it, she'll actually show up. I'm frustrated, I guess, for myself and for my aunt, who lives not that near my place. I mean, it's not a horrible drive, especially for someone who can drive. But the fact that she took the drive for no reason is really annoying to me. Because I guess I feel like people can drive, but that doesn't necessarily mean they want to drive. And the fact that I have to ask them to drive is me asking them to inconvenience themselves. And at least when I'm asking somebody to pick me up from work or something, in fact, what time is it?
11:45 a.m. and 6 seconds.
Late enough that I probably could ask that person if he might be available to pick me up from work before I have to take pain in the butt door-to-door transit home from work. I have it set up so that I can take pain in the butt door-to-door transit home from work, but it's so easy to call that computer and say, wipe that off your schedule. And I'd like nothing more than to do that, especially when it comes to going home. Anyway, at least when I'm having somebody pick me up from work, I'm sorry that I'm asking you to inconvenience yourself, but at least you know why you're doing it. At least you're doing it to help me get home, and, I so appreciate the fact that you're willing to do it. The fact that you come all the way out here to meet me and my apartment manager for the meeting, and then the meeting never even happens, pisses me off for both of us. So, what do I have for, what do I have to show for the meeting? Nothing. But, what do I have to show for the week off? Well, maybe not as much as I'd like to, because I feel like there was so much to do and I didn't do enough of it. But, well, one thing I do have to show for it, and how awesome is this? I've never been on a podcast before. I don't have a whole lot of favorite podcasts. I've got maybe a couple. Sometimes you don't realize some of your dreams until they actually come true. And then you're like, oh my God, how awesome is this? I really like this one podcast. It's more than just a podcast. It's a kind of an interactive thing. They've got a YouTube live stream and a podcast at the same time. Lately she's been doing her YouTube live stream and then just recording that and posting it to the podcast. So, 3 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, 2 days after I found out about this whole apartment building reconstruction, I was kind of doing my weekly interaction with a cool podcast about a show I like to watch. And especially now with the new series that they recently released, and I am all over that, and I certainly have my favorite character and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so I'm watching this live stream and interacting with this live stream, and something comes up, and I put something in the chat about it, and the host says, okay, this is an interesting point, and I'm going to have you on this show at some point, because I'd like to have this conversation with you. And she reads what I wrote, and I was like, do you seriously want me on the show? I can email you and we can set something up. She's like, yeah, email me. I do want to, I would love to have that conversation with you. I do want to have you on the show. I sent the email, later that day. There's more in her life than there is in my life, and she didn't have a chance to get back to me until, a handful of days ago. But we have emailed back and forth and seen this through, and I'm going to be on her podcast. We recorded it yesterday. Now we just have to wait for her to edit it and put it out on the podcast and on her podcast's YouTube channel. And when that becomes available, I'm going to start putting it in the descriptions because I am so excited. First of all, it's me being on the podcast, which how awesome is that? If you have a podcast that you like to listen to, and then the host of that podcast invites you to actually be on the show and share your opinion. If you're anything like me, that's quite the honor. Especially if you're just a nobody who enjoys the topic that is discussed on the podcast. I mean, you're not connected to the in this case the show. You have nothing to do with the show or the series, different series of the show. You're just someone who enjoys it. And yet this host says, well, you're important enough to me and your opinion is valuable enough. I want to dedicate some time on my podcast to your opinion and to having a conversation with you. It was such an honor. And I was so excited. I am so excited. I can't wait to share that with you, with everyone. And I mean, who knows what could come of it? I would love to see, as I told her, I would love to see the show actually take this on as an issue that is confronted, and like maybe their way of dealing with it might change. We'll see if that ever actually happens. But that just is, I think that was the highlight of my week off. That was the most awesome thing. The low light, without question, was the meeting that never happened. Yeah, not impressed. But it also gave me a lot of time to revise my word vomit file that I'm going to probably send to my aunts, and I'm going to be strategic about when I send it. But I mean, I don't want this impacting our holidays. I want us to be able to enjoy ourselves, not have this confrontational conversation. But either before or after, I think we need to have this conversation, and we need to get on the same page about, okay, there's a move in the future here. I imagine living a different life in my future, and that life cannot be supported in this tiny-ass place. It's not as small as a studio, but it's not as big as what I need. Or maybe what I want. I don't know. Well, maybe now isn't the time to move, but I dare you to make me okay with living around a bunch of chaos and noise and construction production blocking the only way I know how to get places. And I mean, I just don't want to live around this. So now here it is, almost noon on the last day before I have to go back into work, and I want to message this guy and see if he's available to take me home. And then I've got some other stuff that I need to do. I wrote them all down. I suppose the world won't end if I don't do it between now and the end of the day, but I think it's something that should be done between now and the end of the day if I can do it. So, are you in town this week? ? I'm wondering if I can get a ride home on Tuesday? ?
Inserted hi. Are you in town this week? I'm wondering if I can get a ride home on Tuesday? Messages. Send. Button. Message.
I should probably say
mention. Words. Home. Character. Space. Dictate.
from work.
Inserted from work. Hi. Are you in town this week? I'm wondering if I can get a ride home from work on Tuesday? Character mode. Insertion point between.
That's how it should look.
Send. Button. Send message. Record audio. Button. Mess.
Let's see what he says. It's not always him being out of town that makes him unavailable, but sometimes he's in town, sometimes he's out of town. Sometimes he's available, sometimes he isn't, so... I am going to check to see if... Because my one aunt, who I really find myself falling back on, I kind of fall back on these people. I don't have very many people that I call on, that I can call on. I don't have a big network of drivers like I wish I did. So the few people that I have, I end up kind of having to fall back on them, if at all possible. My one aunt, this guy and her are kind of at the same place on my depth chart, if you will, but not when my one is out of town, and I know she's out of town. She left this morning, and she won't be back till like Wednesday. She's coming back the night before Thanksgiving and not going to have it in her to make a whole Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving. So we're having our Thanksgiving party on Friday. So if she's out all week, she's clearly not available. I'm not even going to bother asking. I mean, duh. So it's either this guy or door-to-door transit. Like I said, I went ahead and set up door-to-door transit just in case it comes to that, but I'd love to be able to cancel him. We'll see what he says. Well, a little sit down and get your crap done can go a long way. It's
1:05 p.m. and 59 seconds.
1:05 in the afternoon, and I've accomplished everything I need to accomplish, I believe. Well, everything except everything that was on my to-do list as of the time I was writing the last thing on it earlier today. There is like a couple of more things that I want to take care of. That I wanted to take care of, or at least get closer to taking care of during this week, but they're just not going to happen. I need to contact an entity that's not going to be open right now. I should have done that during the week, but I didn't. I want to reach out to a mental health care service provider that, I mean, I could email her at any time, I guess, but I guess I could work on that, but I don't really want to send it until I know, how to tell her, well, my insurance has changed since the last time we worked together, and here's the insurance that I work on now. Are you even on their panel? Or not that I work on, but that covers my mental health now. Are you someone who can work with that? And I can't really do that now because I don't know what my insurance is. I need to find that out. This is just common sense, but if you see a change in your insurance, like you're no longer under this insurance, now you're under that insurance, jot that down somewhere. I don't know, open the notes app on your phone or jot it down in on your little notebook that you carry around everywhere, or whatever your individual way of documenting stuff and jotting stuff down. Be sure to write it down somewhere, because you never know when you're going to need that. And when you need it, thinking, well, crap, God only knows where the paper is that says that now, that's not helpful. Okay, I don't think there's going to be anything worth vlogging for the rest of the day. I mean, I could have just closed it out earlier this afternoon. I've kind of not done a whole lot the rest of the day. I mean, I subscribed to a couple of streaming apps trying to find a particular show. I'll probably unsubscribe to the apps unless I find another show that actually is what I wanted. This is really... I've said this before and I'll say it again. Audio description is something that I'm kind of passionate about because I like it and I need it as a blind person. Well, Yeah, I'm going to say I need it as a blind person because I can watch TV without audio description, but I don't get near enough out of it when there's no audio description. I just sort of have to guess what happens or hope that dialogue later will explain what is going on, or hope that the dialogue during the situation is enough to sometimes you get shows where, like, one person says to the other, come on, dude, you're just doing this, that, and the other thing? They're like, yeah, so? Okay, well, whatever. Well, okay, that tells me what happened, but what about shows that don't have that kind of dialogue? Or what about shows that there's not necessarily a scene where somebody's telling somebody else what happened in the scene before it? I kind of have to count on those if audio description doesn't exist. And lately, there's been this phenomenon of shows that used to be available with audio description rerun not only without it, but not even in the same freaking language. That's really annoying. If you're not going to... First of all, broadcasting companies, if you're going to opt not to play the audio description, first of all, why? Second of all, if you're going to opt to not play the description that you have available, at least play English without the description. If I wanted Spanish, I would set my secondary audio programming to Spanish. I know it always says, if description isn't available, you might hear some other language. Yeah, well, it says that, but I think you should play English either with or without description, but don't play a different language when secondary audio programming language is set to English. So if they're not going to play it with the audio description, I want to know, well, where can I stream it with audio description? Well, so far with this particular show, I don't know. Because I've looked on Netflix and Disney, or Disney Plus, or whatever that thing's called, and didn't find it either place. I found it on Prime Video, but without description, and I don't know. I can keep looking, or maybe I can find a station that will actually play it the way I want it. But I don't know that it's there anymore. The one station that used to play it, I don't know if they even play it anymore. I think they've replaced that show with something else. So I don't know. I'll keep checking the TV listings. In the meantime, I'm going to close out of this because there's not a whole lot else to talk about tonight, I don't think. And I don't have a whole lot of time to... it's 5... Of course, my watch doesn't want to tell me what time it is. It wants to tell me everything but... Would you stop saying that?
5:26 p.m. and
Thank you.
seconds.
It's almost 5:30. I've got to go to work tomorrow. That means I've got to be, ready to face the week. Thank you for listening. Check out Aira. Check out Shipped. Both of those links are in the description. Hopefully, next time there's a video, I can also say, check out my podcast, or not my podcast, but the podcast that I'm featured on. I showed up as a guest on this podcast, and it was such an honor, and check it out. You can't do that just yet, but hopefully next time, like I said. In the meantime, check out Aira, check out Shipped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.